Neighborhood. This is the place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Well, it's good to be back.
It's good to have you back.
Good land of the living. On my screen, I see Beagle's technology. Should it be looking at me instead?
I see you. You're live on the
All
screen.
right, it's fine, and it's good. It's all good. Anyway, it's good to be back. You know, as many of y'all know, I have had COVID the last 5 or 6 days. I probably still have it, but at least I'm on the upward mend now, and it's everything they say it is. It's a ton of fun, and I don't recommend it if you could avoid it, but it's almost impossible to avoid because I did all the stuff we should do and whatnot, and bam, I still got it. It's going to get you. Just hope you're prepared for it. We're going to talk a little bit about not just my experiences with COVID, but also it's probably the latter half. I mean, it's been a little while since I've had the ability to rant and rave about certain things. I want to get back to it. I'm going to kind of go over briefly a couple things. Also, what's going on in the show in the next few days. I had a request actually from a young lady named Jordan DeWald, who many of y'all know, and she asked if I could explain some of this stuff about the Federal Reserve and some of these economic things. And I'm going to try to do that next week on Monday. So we'll see what happens. If it's I'm just doing my sharing routine, make sure you're all good, and we're there. Okay. But I'd like to thank a lot of people for their kindness and their good wishes, best wishes, and their wishes for my health. I had many people contact me either on my text or on my Facebook page or other social platform types that were very kind. I very very much appreciated it. I never felt like I was really in this by myself. I also want to very much say thank you to my wife, who has been a real trooper, trying to keep me upright through this whole thing. But it's been wonderful. I've had a lot of people offer to bring me stuff, and a lot of people that were, on their prayer list and all this other type of good wishes, and so I was very, very fortunate. Um, so before we jump into the deep end, let's go ahead and talk about um, our sponsors who make all this possible. Thank you to CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. Daniel, hope you're doing well. Hope you and Amber, the kids, are avoiding all this. I'm sure it's kind of like playing dodgeball almost. But anyway, CrossFitBurleson.com, you can check out their webpage for their protocols and their memberships and find out what's going on at the gym. Also, thank you, Shandy Stogsdill, the Stogsdill Realty Group. Uh, Turning transactions and relationships. I know she's has a couple of big home closings coming up pretty soon. She's pretty busy, and that's a good sign for a realtor. It's a good sign for this area. She also could keep you up to date on what's going on with the rates, which will be rising, and that's going to be one of the things they'll be talking about probably in the oh, in the next couple of shows or not, is about the interest rates rising. She can help you with all of that. So thank you, Shandy. Thank you to Rex Russell at the Russell Wealth Group. Hope things are doing well. MyFinancialBox.com. Hit the link, get to know him, get to see his introductory video. You'll become a client of his. You'll be glad you did. It's a really good thing. And so thank you, Rex, for all what you do. Thank you to Optavia Kimmy Etheridge, 817-789-1622, one of my BNI friends. She's waiting and willing right now to help you with your New Year's resolutions. I had her on the show a couple weeks ago, and she could help you with your weight loss plans, and not just weight loss, but also weight maintenance plans, that kind of thing. So 817-789-1622. Also Gayla Moore's. It's Valentine's Day coming up in about 3 weeks. Taylor, are you going to be giving any sweethearts anything for Valentine's Day?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay, that's very nice. Okay, well, if you do,
Gotta keep things secretive.
yeah, well,
Here.
if you do want to give the
I know
special
where
one
to
in your
go.
life, Southern Gym will help you right out. It's got a very affordable merchandise plus cleaning, repairs, design, the whole thing. And how do I sound, Taylor? I sound pretty clogged up.
You don't sound bad. You sound
Well,
congested.
boy, you
But
should have heard me the other day.
that's COVID.
Well, here's my story. Okay, a lot of people equate COVID with a bad cold, and I guess if there was no COVID out there. We didn't have COVID in our society. We would think that's what it was, but it was a little bit more than a cold. It was. I started getting it Friday night, maybe. I started showing symptoms. And I'm thinking, no, no, it's not COVID. No, it's not COVID. It's just a cold. It's just the allergies. It's the dust in the air. And no, no. And I woke up the next day, didn't feel that great, but no, it just, take a couple of pills, I'll be good to go. I'm vaccinated, dadgummit. I don't get COVID. Finally, my wife, about early afternoon, convinced me to take a COVID test. She went to the CVS, got the COVID test, and boom, there it was, that little faint red line where it shows that you have COVID. And, um, so I was, irritated. So, well, I'll get over this quickly enough. I had Sunday school obligations that I was able to get taken care of, but I'm going to be in class Monday. And then I looked at the DBU and the Hill College protocol list, and no, I will not be in class Monday. Even if it's a mild case, they want you to stay away for 5 days. And I said, okay, well, I get it. So I take care of the class obligations. Fortunately, we could do a lot of the material, a lot of communication online, as most of y'all know. And so I was going to do try to do class remotely, like similar to what we're doing right here. DBU has me set up for a, a, a a way I could conduct class from my library here. Now, do they encourage that all the time? They encourage it when the weather's bad or when COVID hits. But, the kids did pay for in-person class. But anyway, I took care of my classes at Hill and DBU, and they, of course, understood. And then I get a call from DBU about Monday afternoon saying, "Oh, you won't be back until Friday. That's the first time you can come back on campus." And I was upset a little bit, but then, but I wasn't making any improvements. So I thought, my Wednesday self-imposed deadline. Well, I never would have made it, let's just put it that way. This COVID hammered me from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, really into Tuesday. I was dealing with COVID stuff, and for me, what COVID was I had bad headaches, I had really bad coughs, and, my head was all clogged up, and I'm still clogged up, obviously, could tell that now. My throat hurt. I didn't have it in my lungs, just a side note, what I found interesting is when I was looking up COVID symptoms, Taylor, you can name any symptom you want, and it's gonna be on the COVID list,
Oh yeah,
"Oh, yeah, my hair's falling out. Oh, it might be
it's
COVID."
ridiculous.
It reminds me of, like, that old Jeff Foxworthy skit, "You might be a redneck if," you might have COVID if, you know hey, your hair falls
Every
out,
single symptom.
every symptom known to man. My eyes were watering, which I thought was for hay fever. And so, it's almost like, well, if it's not on the list, put it on the list because it's probably COVID. Everything was COVID. And, I just thought that was kind of funny, that I couldn't avoid COVID symptoms. So anyway, I didn't have all of them. Some of the other stuff like the extreme nausea or trouble breathing, I didn't have those problems. Yeah, and the thing is at this entire episode, I never felt like I needed to go to the hospital. I never felt like I need to call 911 or go to the doctor. Because what is the doctor going to tell me? Have you had your vaccination? Well, then just tough it out. I surely wasn't going to think about wasting the doctor's time and my 85 buck copay or whatever it was, you know, just to find out that go home, go to bed, take aspirin or take Advil and tough it out. Um, Now, I'm not saying to my vast listening audience, if you have these symptoms, to ignore them. Please don't. But I'm in that 99.9% of the categories that really didn't need to be hospitalized or, I never at once felt like I was in a serious condition. I just felt like this is annoying and I don't feel good. And You know, and I found out a few other things as well. There really isn't anything on TV during the day. You ever notice that? Yeah, Benjamin Nickel here says it sounds like Omicron. Yeah, I'm sure it was Omicron. I mean, from what I understand, the Delta and the other variants they had were much, much more severe. But the Omicron, what I understand about it is it's not as severe, but it's almost impossible to avoid, vaccinated or not. I think what the vaccinations did for me, I know several of my devoted listeners are not as on board with vaccinations as I am, and that's their call. I mean, I'm not going to get into all of that business, but for me, it was an easy call to get vaccinated, and I think what the vaccinations did for me was it made it less severe on the Omicron. Um, I think if you have vaccinations and you're wearing the mask, the likelihood you get an Omicron is still there. I mean, I don't mean it's like possible. I mean it's likely. It's just from what I've been reading, I had time to read about it when I could. I did sleep a lot. Um, it's just a highly, highly contagious, and it may not be as lethal as Delta was, but it, it's unpleasant to say the least. And plus, I'm older than a lot of my vast listening audience. I'm on 59 plus, and so the age may have had something to do with it too, as one on. Now, I've known several people, many people that are going through it right now. Um, um, I have a good friend right now that's really struggling with it. I don't know if he wants his whole story out there publicized or whatnot, but I know that right now, my thoughts are with him right now. He's at the doctor's, and I hope he's doing well, better. But he struggled with it, and so some people it hammers them harder than others. And I talked to people in the school system here, Burleson ISD, and they have very significant absentee rates amongst students and teachers. Uh, I know Louisville has closed schools for the week. I'm not really even sure if closing schools is the answer. I mean, I'm not criticizing Louisville. I'm not criticizing BISD for not closing. I'm not sure it's really the answer because it's, you know, you you close down the school with the idea that these kids are going to take these 5 days and quarantine themselves. That's craziness. They're going to do stuff and hang out and do whatever they do like they would on a vacation day. So I don't know if it's really that effective. Maybe closing school is good for the teachers if they need it, and they may need it. Now, on Omicron itself, I'm reading that the cases are rapidly declining, and we may be past the peak just in time for the free tests and the expanded shots and all the other business that Mr. Biden has planned for us. I think the horses are gone after they try to shut the barn, as they say. I think they were a little bit late on this. In fact, Harris gets a lot of this criticism for actually saying the truth. They did not anticipate Delta or Omicron, even though, nah, I don't want to get, I'll wait till the second half of the show to get political about it. But anyway, the point is that after about 4 days of a lot of water, a lot of sleep, Advil, and just, toughing it out, I finally, about Tuesday, had a slight breakthrough and then crashed it again on that night. But yesterday was the first day I had that really wasn't like I felt like total crapola. And today, meh. If like I said, if COVID wasn't a thing, would I have gone to my job today? Well, I don't have classes on Thursday, but let's say I did. I would have probably taken some Dayquil and got my way through my classes. Um, when in my teaching career, I always had this ethic kind of drilled into me by my father that if you could at all be there, then be there. Um, I remember a story. This is an old story I tell people about my father. When I was working as a financial analyst back in the day, way back in the mid '80s, it was one day in February, and here comes this really bad ice storm, sleet, snow, ice, etc. And it hits about middle of the night. I wake up at 5 o'clock and I see the streets all covered in ice. I'm thinking, hey, it's going to be a snow day. Well, I was working for Dun and Bradstreet at the time. I wasn't in school. I wasn't in class. I was working for a private employer, Dun and Bradstreet, as an analyst. And I said, all right, it's going to be a snow day. And So I go back to bed. 5:30, my dad calls me. I lived in an apartment nearby. My dad calls me and he says, "You up yet?" And well, yeah, Dad, kind of up. Yeah. Are you up yet? You're gonna have to leave early for work if you're gonna be there on time. I'm like, have you seen outside what's going on outside? Yeah. So leave early. Hey. So I left about an hour early and it's still with all the roads. I was supposed to be at work around 8 o'clock. I got there about 8:30. And there's like five of us out of an office of about 40 to 50. Um By the end of the day, maybe about a dozen people had showed up in the office. 2 months later, they were handing out promotions, and myself and 2 other people got promotions, and they specifically said that day was the day that we got promoted, that we were put on the promotable list, that myself and my 2 peers that we all arrived together, uh, we all 3 of us got promoted to the next level at Dun& and Bradstreet because they thought they were there. So I've often lived by that lesson. That if it all be there, it should be there. And, now, all that being said, I don't advise teachers with COVID to go to school, absolutely not. I don't advise teachers that are risking their students' health to go. I wasn't risking health when I went to BISD. If I was sick at BHS and contagious, I didn't go to school. But if it was just, allergies or head cold or just I was just uncomfortable, then I doped up and went because that's what you do. And, I don't wanna get into the millennial work ethic, but I just think that quite often the millennials don't have that, um, drive or that attachment to do it like we did. Now I know some young people, I'll say both my children are very good about being on their job if at all possible. I really think that's one of the things I'm very proud about their work ethic is both my kids have this work ethic that if at all possible, be there. But I don't know if that's really carried forward to the younger generation as much. To be frank, I think a lot of them, are more willing to miss days. And I just, for me, I don't know. That's not the way I was raised, certainly. But anyway, to finish my COVID story, um, I plan on being back in the classroom on Monday. I'll be able to do remote classes tomorrow. Um, I'm not contagious. The thing is about testing for COVID, once you've had it, you could test for weeks, for what I've read. And so really it's when the symptoms are gone for like 48 hours or 72 hours, you're pretty much over it. But you still may ring the bell on the COVID test. Um, but if you don't have any more symptoms, I think you're past the point of spreading it around. Now, as far as advice or whatever else, Uh, it says, Mr. Nichols says up to 6 months. I have read up to 6 months as well, but most the stuff I read said about 4 to 6 weeks, but maybe, 6 months doesn't sound odd at all. Now, as far as advice, look, guys, you've heard my stance on vaccines before, and by this time, it may be too late to really do anything about Omicron. Um, as far as masks go, I have a very skeptical view of masks, tell you the truth. I've been reading nothing but and not now I'm not talking about in Fox News or whatever, I'm talking about Atlantic Monthly and some other professional journals of reputation that said that masks are really more for your psychological benefit than they are for your health benefit. That that only like the most stringent mask, like the N95 masks I read about, really do. Uh, Prevent the spread, that maybe at best, a good mask may slow it, but it's really to protect you from infecting them, and that's about it now. So, this idea that we must mask up everywhere we go, I just don't think is useful anymore. I don't criticize people a year ago for thinking that might be the solution to it because we were struggling for solutions. We were struggling for trying to get past all of this. We were struggling to try to understand COVID, and there's a lot of things we didn't know then that we know now. But I don't think masks are the answer anymore. um, because I know that COVID is spreading so widely through that Omicron variant, through communities and through institutions that are masking up. It just, I know in Virginia, they're having all sorts of political problems about schools defying the governor and saying the governor said masks are optional, and the school districts in Virginia saying we don't care, we're going to mandate masks. Am I in favor of mandates of masks? And the answer is no. I, I I haven't seen enough real evidence that it's going to prevent the spread of particularly this Omicron variant. Now, as far as other procedures like social distancing and whatever else, well, that always works, even with the flu or any other contagious virus, So that, yeah, it works because it works for everything else as well. But masks, I think, are just at the point now, particularly that we have so many out there on the market. They're just basically paper, and that's about it. Um, I don't think mask mandates are the solution to this problem. Now, what is a solution? I don't know if there is a solution. If we had a solution to these kind of things, we wouldn't have flu or common colds anymore. I think this has become something that we're going to be treating like we do the flu every year. And we don't shut down the economy for the flu. As far as COVID, it's going to be something that's going to be with us for a while. Maybe, every few years it'll pop up like the flu does, like we did in 2009 or 2007, or the SARS flu or epidemic we had about 15 years ago, or swine flu and chicken flu and whatever else we got going on. So I think COVID's going to be part of our lives, and we're going to have to deal with it as such. But if you choose not to get vaccinated, it's going to hammer you pretty hard. And if you choose to get vaccinated, it'll hammer you less hard. At least Omicron will. That's about is all I got to say about that. I know masks are seen by a lot of my friends and peers as a true preventative. If I was the only person in the room wearing a mask, I'd be protecting the rest of y'all. But if the ma if but as far as the mask protecting me from everybody else, I've lost my confidence in that, the ability of a mask to keep me from getting Omicron or anything else. And I hate saying that, really I do, because because I know for a lot of people that are adamant against masks or vaccine mandates and all that, well, let's not talk about mandates for a minute, or adamant against vaccines and mask mandates. I disagree about the vaccines, but I think I've come to agree on the mask bit. As far as the vaccine mandate that the Supreme Court shot down last week, I am not in favor of government mandates in most cases, and this is one of those cases. I don't like the government mandating I do something that may be against my conscience, maybe against my own judgment or not. Um, I think I'm very clear that I think vaccines are useful and necessary. But I don't want the government putting my employment on the line if I don't agree. I don't want the government basically penalizing me if I don't agree. There's some states talking about, not allowing people that are unvaccinated into public hospitals. And I thought, what what kind of crap is that? That's not how it works. It's like saying, well, you smoked a long time, you got lung cancer, so sorry, Jack, you're going to have to just tough it out. Or you ate too much and you have arterial sclerosis. Well, sorry about that. No, it didn't work that way. Um, so I am against vaccine mandates because I'm against most government mandates. I don't think the government mandates, or I don't trust the people that are involved in this particular mandate at all. I'm so sick of Anthony Fauci, I could vomit, and it literally almost could anyway. But I'm just saying, I'm tired of Fauci. I'm tired of him popping up on the news all the time. Don't be surprised how much he profits from this. I'm not one of these guys. Okay, Miss Arbor says, "But Brad, kids can't get into school without vaccines." That's true. You have to have the measles, you have to have the mumps, you have to have smallpox vaccines. Those vaccines, I think, were much better, well, how may to put it? They have a more of a history of success. Let's put it that way. They have much more of a history of success than this one. But, Betty's absolutely right. Now, their vaccine mandates in schools for COVID doesn't exist yet. Um, if BISD went to that, then I would advise my vast listening audience to get vaccinated. I don't like the federal government doing it. And I guess maybe Betty is pointed out something I need to make myself more clear on. I don't like the federal government doing it. I'm not even really crazy about the state government doing it. If the county wanted to do it, I'd be a little less resistant. If the school district wanted to do it, I'd be a little less resistant because Betty's right. The vaccines are necessary, like I said, measles and mumps and all those others that we have eradicated, or at least limited to a great degree. I'm not sure COVID is going to be eradicated in that same manner, though. But because we don't mandate flu vaccines for the kids, um, we don't mandate. Also, Betty, will tell you that most school districts do allow for conscientious objectors, as they say. Okay, you do allow for some people that because of their religious faith or other moral concerns about vaccines, they there are exemptions to that standard of being vaccinated. You can't just say I don't wanna get vaccinated because I don't like getting shots. That's not good enough. But if you're like there's certain religious faiths, I mean, they're not very widespread, but they're there, that don't believe in vaccines. And, they are given exemptions. And, so there you are. Uh, so I wanna make myself clear about the mandates. I don't want Joe Biden mandating anything. I don't trust him. I don't trust Fauci. I don't trust the government, the federal government. It's not so much they've lied to us, but they have given us a great deal of misinformation. Second of all, I don't think they've been very honest about the origin of this virus. They've done everything they can to exempt the Chinese from their culpability in this, and I'm not one of these people think that they sat around a lab thinking, "Let's develop this vaccine and inflict it upon the world, and then develop the vaccine to cure it." I think that, that's not a good business model to kill several million of your patients before you come out with a vaccine. I just think that the Chinese were using this in a lab and it got away from them. I'm not really buying into this. They ate a bunch of bad bats or pangolins, which is basically a Chinese armadillo. I'm thinking that they screwed up, and we've gone to a great length in trying to avoid the culpability that the Chinese have because we don't wanna offend. We don't wanna we have foreign policy to think of. We have economic relations we have to deal with. There's the Olympics next week, blah, blah, blah. But I think the Chinese are responsible for this. Again, I'm not saying it was like an intentional chemical viral warfare kind of infliction. I think they screwed up, and I think we know that they screwed up, but we're not telling the people that. And so, that's why I don't trust the Biden administration for a vaccine mandate. I don't think they've been honest with us about, where this came from and what it's been doing. I don't think they've been honestly with how people are monetizing the situation. I wonder how much Fauci's gonna make off all of this when it's all said and done, or others. I'm not a conspiratorial-minded person. I'm really not. I don't really think that the pharmaceutical companies sat around a table and said, "Hey, let's create a virus and then create the vaccine and make billions of dollars." But they are making billions of dollars, there's no doubt about it. And so that's why I'm against vaccine mandates. But I'm not against the vaccine. I willingly took it. I was going to take the booster, ran out of time. But there you are. Let's talk about the second round of, sponsors. Um, Thank you to our place, in particular, our place. Otto came by a couple of days ago with some soup and some tin cup whiskey, which I haven't tried yet, which I will, I'm sure. I hope my mother's not listening. But anyway, the soup was, as always, was fantastic, but it was also exceptionally thoughtful. I had several people offer to bring by food, and and I appreciate that. I really, it wasn't like I had a lot to eat, so because I wasn't that hungry, but the soup was good, and also, it's very thoughtful of Otto to come by, and so our place definitely is a place. Weren't you there this morning, Taylor? He's
Yes,
oh,
sorry.
there you are. You
The
were
mute button stuck. Yeah, I
okay,
was there this
okay.
morning. I had a meeting.
Oh, yeah?
A very successful meeting, actually. So,
Oh, good.
yeah.
Well, see, that's what happens when you're associated with Mr. Allard's neighborhood, the business comes to
Exactly.
you. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, well, we were gonna have our usual breakfast today, but we're gonna do it next week 'cause, me and my Sunday school class have it there on Thursdays, but since I'm not the only one that's, um, sniffling right now, we're gonna do it next Thursday. But anyway, thank you, Otto, for your kindness, and thank you not just to me, but to the community, and thank you for all what you do for us. It's a great place to be. Thank you to Chris over at the Wild Cigar and Culture. He had the ball games on. They're gonna have them on this Sunday, the championship games. I'm sure they'll have a Super Bowl party, no doubt about it. When I recover a little bit more, I'm gonna definitely drop by. It's kind of tough to go to a cigar bar when you're all stuffled up right now, and I don't want to come in there with a mask. I mean, holy cow, I've already talked about that. But anyway, Wild Cigar and Culture, it's a great place. Get yourself a decent smoke, a decent drink, and you'll be good to go. All right. Thank you to Proactive Payment Solutions. Check out the webpage, proactivepaymentsolution.com, and Antonio Basalo and his crew will help you out with your point of sales operations, help you keep more of your money. Some of those point of sales operations can really skin you. So you want to make sure you get the best one. And if you don't have one, he'll set you up with one and he'll show you how to use it, operate it, and it'll save you time, money, and effort. So Proactive Payment Solutions, just give them a holler. Check out the proactivepaymentsolution.com and you'll be good to go. Also, last Thursday, we had Payne Beagles on for Beagles Technology Solutions. And I'm going to read the write up he sent me. Whether you need help with the big things like turning your house into a smart home or transforming the technology in your business, or the little things like migrating your data to a new computer or setting up a video doorbell, Beagles Technology Solutions provides seamless, integrated technology solutions to help you meet your goals through on-site and remote support. So if you hook up with Payne here, you're not going to just be getting a one-off thing where thanks for your business, I'll see you. You're going to have a relationship. You'll have a business relationship with Payne to help you monitor your service. We are your one-stop shop for consultation, purchasing, installation, configuration, and support. So check out the website beaglestech.com, which you see at the bottom of the screen, or 817-944-3572. I'm very fortunate both Antonio and Payne are former students of mine, as is Chris, as is Daniel, as is Shandy. I'm very fortunate to have be still associated with some of my former students, and because I've known them for years, and they've been people of quality and integrity throughout their lives, and so I can not just endorse their business, but endorse them. Same with Tiffany Griffin. I've gotten to know her pretty decently in the last few months, and she's a genuinely good-hearted person. I really like Tiffany. She's just a real sweet person, and over at Local Life magazine. It's going to come out next week. LocalLifeTX.com will be on the website for next week. It's still got this month's on, and you can check out the specials and the coupons and whatever else. Local Life magazine is a really good advertising source. So if you're looking to advertise in the area, she sends it to 30,000 homes and 110,000 people. So it's a pretty good deal. All righty. Burleson Radio still rocking along too. Live 365, your voice, your station, playing your favorite songs right now. So check out Live 365. Check out the radio station. All right. I thought I'd just kind of drift a little bit down some minor ramblings about political stuff. I'm going to be talking tomorrow on tomorrow's show. I'm going to pose the question: is there really the difference between Trump and Biden? All right. Some of you may think, well, obviously there is. No, it's not that obvious. I'm going to put out: is there any real difference between Trump and Biden, particularly when it comes to how they conduct themselves as president? Particularly how they refer to other people and to institutions like our elections. So that's for tomorrow's show. And like I said, Monday, I'm going to talk about economic stuff. And so there you are. But yesterday, Stephen Breyer, Supreme Court Justice, said he's going to retire at the end of the session. That's not really news in a sense. That what really bothered me about Breyer's retirement isn't the fact that he did it; is the fact he was pressured into doing it. They pressured Ginsburg into trying to get her to retire all throughout the Trump administration. Rather, I'm sorry, say it again, throughout the Obama administration. They wanted her to retire in 2016 to allow Mr. Obama to choose her successor, and she said, "No, I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm going to stay what I'm doing." And then she died, of course, 3 months before the election, and so a lot of people were very upset by that. But Breyer's retirement is going to cause a lot of hair pulling in the media. But the truth of the matter is, it's not going to change the balance of the Supreme Court very much. Biden's going to choose somebody just like him in ideology. Now, he has said, "I will choose a black woman to replace him." Well, that's fine. I understand what he's doing, but what bothers me about the symbolism of these kind of things is that I hate identity politics. I hate the fact that if you're black, you should think this. If you're white, you should think that. If you're Hispanic, you should think this. And if you don't follow the pattern, particularly if you're a minority, then you're somehow betraying some cause. You know, Clarence Thomas is still getting abuse from a lot of the black leadership in this country because he doesn't play ball with their ideology. Well, anyway, the selection of a black woman, I saw the potentials. The Washington Post ran down a few potentials, and the name I would look for is a woman named Ketanji Brown. She is a judge on the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in D.C., which is almost like the farm team for the Supreme Court. Now, is she qualified in every way? Okay, that I would say qualified. She has all these Ivy League degrees. She has all the experience. Is her ideology mine? That's the question. See, that's the point. We shouldn't be choosing judges strictly on ideology. Now, is that what happens in the real world? Of course not. All right, but the thing is that to me, a legitimate complaint about a Supreme Court justice isn't one against because, well, he or she doesn't rule the way I like all the time. It should, are they gonna be fair? Are they gonna follow the law and the Constitution? Are they not gonna legislate from the bench? Are they not gonna put their own personal stamp on what should be, even if it's not there? To me, the worst Supreme Court justice right now is Sotomayor. She's ridiculous because she doesn't even bother going along with the Constitution, the law. She basically says, at her judgment is, if it doesn't seem right to her, then it's unconstitutional, and that's not how it works. The counterpoint to that kind of attitude would be Antonin Scalia, who quite often would vote for things he knew to be stupid and maybe even harmful, but because they didn't violate the Constitution in any obvious way, he would reluctantly go along. I think that's the way to do it. Now, as far as Ketanji Brown, I don't know much about her ideology. I would assume that since she's been appointed by Biden already for that position she has now, she was appointed last year, and she'll probably be appointed as Supreme Court Justice. I'm assuming that they share ideology. There you are. And it'd be illogical to think that Biden's gonna choose somebody, that's conservative. That's just not life in the real world. So, will it change the Supreme Court? Probably not, because you're replacing one liberal with another. And don't be surprised if in 2025, let's say, and the Republicans have won the White House and the Senate, you see pressure on Samuel Alito or Clarence Thomas to retire because they'll be in the near 80 by then. They'll be like 78 to 80. Don't be surprised you see the similar thing going on the right if there's a Republican president and a Republican Senate. All right. Second thing, we're talking about the Ukraine. Things are just ratcheting up. We will have a military conflict for one reason in particular is that Putin can't afford to back down now. Putin put out a list of demands about 2 or 3 weeks ago what would avoid a conflict in the Ukraine. And they were ridiculous. They were like banning Ukraine from being a member of NATO, withdrawing all troops from NATO nations that joined after 1997, which would be like Poland, Romania, Hungary, all the former Soviet satellites. and the Baltic states as well, like Estonia, etc., that we wouldn't put any missiles there or any troops there. None of that's going to happen. And so basically, Putin is in a situation that if he backs down now without a big chunk of Ukraine to claim as a victory, he's going to be discredited back home and in the autocrats club. He's going to be made look ridiculous, and that will not happen. Vladimir Putin and his leadership will not allow themselves to be made look ridiculous. Furthermore, they see a lot of that Ukrainian territory and other parts like the Baltic states, others, former Soviet territory. Therefore, we're just reclaiming what was ours, and that's not going to happen. What's interesting to me is that many of the NATO nations, with one major exception, Germany, have really stood up to this. Germany has been disgraceful in this whole episode. They've been waffling back and forth about whether to help or not. And some say it's because of the guilt they feel about World War II. Some say it's because they get a lot of their natural energy, which I think is the case, get a lot of their natural energy from Russia. But even France is sending military aid to some of the Baltic states and Romania. A lot of the NATO states are getting reinforced. And as far as Ukraine itself, we are sending aid. I am glad to see Biden send military aid. I am glad to see Biden not cave yet, and maybe he won't. God, hope he does not. But they have rejected these demands from Putin, and so far, Biden has withstood the pressure. Let's hope. Now they all say we want a diplomatic solution. In my mind, I don't know what that looks like. A diplomatic solution means Russia take your troops back home and quit bothering people. That's the only solution. Diplomatically, I see. It isn't like we're going to, if we give them a piece of Ukraine or we exceeded some of these demands eventually, we lost. If we give in to the Russian demands in any way, we lost. They won, they know it, and they'll be back for more, period. So far, Biden has withstood it. And the NATO nations have stood up a bit, except for Germany. Those Baltic states are small but brave. Will they get run over by Russian troops? Probably, but it'd be a very bloody battle. And same thing with Ukraine, same thing with anywhere else. If the Russians think they're just going to go marching in, they got another thing coming. They're going to get more than a bloody nose if they jump into Ukraine. All right. Also, I'll be talking more about this next week about the Fed and the rising of rates. Right, they're going to be raising the rates pretty soon. What that's going to do to us? Why are they doing it? Things like that. Also, I was looking at Biden's poll numbers; they're just terrible. I think it's really really going to be tough to turn it around. I mean, a Supreme Court justice pick, he gets who he wants. I don't know if that's going to move the needle much either way. As far as until inflation comes down, and until the Omicron pandemic is over, and until we quit seeing the violence in our streets, we stop seeing the left of the Democrat Party yelling about police brutality and defunding the police. It's going to be a real problem, and until we start seeing real solutions to the border problem, his numbers aren't going to rise. And there you are. Um, Today we did get some good news about economic growth. Went up the highest since 1984. Is Biden responsible for that? That's another thing that Jordan asked me to talk about. How much responsibility does the president have in curing the economy? I mean, is it possible? Yes or no? And so I had to tune in Monday for that answer. But I'm getting a bit winded. I've had a few things to say. I appreciate Betty and Ben and others that have participated. I hope y'all participate in tomorrow. Anyway, so let's go on to the sponsors and we'll say goodbye. Thank you, Daniel at CrossFit Burleson. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for your community support. So check out the membership plans and profiles on CrossFitBurleson.com. Also, thank you, Shandy. Oh, thank you, Betty. I feel better. Okay. And I appreciate you joining in the show. I appreciate your you're putting that point in because that's a point that needed to be made. Thank you. Stock Steel Group, turning transactions into relationships. Check out the 817life.com page for what's going on around this town. Also, thank you to Rex. There he is, Russell Wealth Group, myfinancialbox.com. Thank you to what you do for the community as well. He's been here for a long, long time. So hit myfinancialbox.com. You'll be good to go. Thank you to Optavia and Kimmy Etheridge. Very sweet lady, very kind. 817-789-1622. I've gotten to know her in the last few months through BNI, and I'm very fond of her. She just, and she's very enthusiastic about the product she sells. So 817-789-1622. Thank you to Gayla, also a friend from BNI, is also a very sweet woman. Appreciate all she does. She and I go to the same church, and so we're, friends there too. But Southern Gym. So check out Southern Gym on the top floor of the Windmiller building. It's coming up for Valentine's Day. If you need some jewelry to be repaired, replaced, fixed, designed, or you want to buy something new, Southern Gym's the place to do it. Thank you to Otto at Our Place, of course. Again, thank you for your pick-me-up for this wonderful COVID. But thank you to Otto for all what you do for community at Our Place on the highway in Allsbury since 1986. Thank you to Chris at Wild Cigar and Culture. It's really is a nice place. It's a good place. It's a place you can take friends and take your mother. I know it's all this. Have a decent drink, have a smoke, watch the ball game, talk to some friends in a decent atmosphere. It didn't drowning you out. So you can hear yourself think, which is always a good thing. Have good music on in the background. So there you go. Thank you, Chris. Thank you to Proactive Payment Solutions in Antonio. Hit the proactivepaymentsolution.com page and find out how he could save you some money on your point of sales operations. Thank you to Payne Beagles at Beagles Tech. The Beagles Technology Solutions make your home into a smart home, make it more efficient, save you some money. And, it's going to be a change in your home that, you'll very much would like. And he can help you with all these things. So hit beaglestech.com and Payne can help you out with your smart home. Thank you to Local Life magazine, Tiffany. As always, the magazine comes out next week. I look forward to it. I believe it's a Valentine's Day edition with Valentine's Day specials. So take a look at it when it comes out. Usually I bet it's going to be out about a week from today. She usually tries to mail them out on the 1st or the 2nd of the month to 30,000 homes. That's a bunch. Also, Burleson Radio, Live 365, your voice, your station. Well, I made it through. Taylor, how did it sound?
I'm so proud of you. You did it.
Well, I got a little bit tired at the end, but that's okay. Tomorrow I'll be doing it at noon again. Does that work for you?
That'll work.
All right, noon tomorrow. I'm going to talk about the stuff I mentioned about is there any real difference between Trump and Biden in the way they act sometimes. But I have class in the morning, so my voice will be nice and warmed up by then. All righty.
Yeah.
Thank you all for hanging in there with me, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.